Hello, everybody. It's me, Ross, and welcome back to another edition of Meet the Opposition. This week, I'm joined by Joe Nicholson from the Sunderland Echo ahead of Town's clash with the Black Cats at Portman Road. 29,000 expected in this pack-out PR campaign. The Blues, of course, played Sunderland only a month ago, and we lost 2-0 at Stadium Light. Joe, it's been all rosy, really, for Sunderland since then. Unbeaten. Town, of course, have seen a manager sacked and lose against Barrow in the FA Cup. So not so rosy at Town. But for yourself, assessment on Sunderland's form recently since that win against Town early or late in November. And thanks for joining me.
Yeah, good to be here, Ross. Sunderland's form has picked up a bit in the last few weeks after that Ipswich result. It was starting to get fans were getting a little bit twitchy after they'd lost 3 league games in a row before they beat Ipswich at the Stadium of Light. Some heavy defeats as well. Lost 3-0 at Sheffield Wednesday and 5-1 at Rotherham, and fans were starting to get a little bit concerned. Even the Ipswich game, although Sunderland won it, myself included, I thought Ipswich were the better side that day and deserved to take something from the game. But after that, Sunderland went to Shrewsbury, drew 1-1 against 10 men. So after that, there was a lot of concern. But since that, their form has turned. They got a big win away at Cambridge, 2-1 in some really terrible conditions, really windy and rain, and they really had to dig a result out that day. But since then, they've really thrashed Morecambe 5-0 at the Stadium of Light and got a big 2-1 win over Plymouth, another team that are up there last time out. So those results have really put them back into a strong position. They still have a game in hand on one of the sides above them in Rotherham. So they're in a strong position again after what was a little bit of a sticky spell kind of a few weeks ago.
What's changed then? Is there just players come back into form, or what do you think has gone on? And it's good, but where's it come from?
It's a very young side. We saw in the summer the recruitment model at Sunderland kind of changed. They've recruited a lot of kind of younger players from kind of top either Premier League clubs or academies. They've actually signed 2 players as well from on loan from Bayern Munich. So the profile of the players that they're signing has changed. So with that, obviously brings its positives and its negatives. At the start of the season, those players were playing with a lot of confidence. The philosophy that Lee Johnson's tried to implement is very much try and pass the ball out from the back, try and build attacks. And the first few weeks of the season, they were doing that very well. But as you can see with younger players, sometimes if their confidence does take a bit of a hit and they're trying to play the ball out of the back, making mistakes, it can get a little bit messy. And I think that's what happened with those heavy defeats that I mentioned before away at Sheffield Wednesday and Rotherham. And I think those players just lost a bit of confidence, and you could see they were a little bit more hesitant on the ball, and the results started to suffer, but they've managed to kind of bring that confidence back a little bit more. They have had a few injuries as well, which hasn't helped. But in recent weeks, we've seen the team kind of adapt with their system and their shape. They've changed to a wing-back system at times and had to adapt because they haven't had any fullbacks. All their fullbacks seem to get injured at the same time, which was obviously a very challenging situation for the manager, Lee Johnson, but he's managed to find a way around it. And now the team appear to have that confidence back again, which has come at a really important time heading into kind of a spell where there's going to be a lot of games.
Yeah, the Christmas period is the period where a lot of games are going to be played. A big win on the weekend at Stadium Light against Plymouth. Plymouth, of course, gone down the table a little bit, but they were the team, the form side, top of the table for a while. That was a fantastic result. And let's talk about the possible Sunderland 11, the predicted Sunderland 11. 3-4-2-1 is the formation, or I think so anyway. Let's talk about some players, particular players. The player that sticks out in my mind is Pritchard. What a signing for you guys. And of course, he scored a few goals this year. What's the pick of the bunch there, and any changes from the game against Plymouth?
Yeah, the side you've got down there, that's one change from the game against Plymouth. There's not really that many options at the minute, as I said before, with kind of injury concerns. There are 3 players that have returned to first-team training that have been out for a while: Corey Evans, Dennis Sirkin and Denver Hume, but they're all kind of, I don't think they'll be risked for tomorrow's match. They may kind of come into consideration in the next few weeks. But so with that, there's kind of a few limited options. As I said, there one change from the weekend, which is Gooch out and Embleton in. That's kind of our predicted lineup for the weekend. Gooch went off injured against Plymouth last time out at half-time. So Johnson hasn't ruled him out of the game, but he's got a groin issue, so maybe it will be a surprise if he started. The system there is quite flexible. You've got it down there as a 3-4-2-1, but you could easily move. That would be like with Jaku as a wing back, who's traditionally a winger. He could kind of move into a winger role, and Callum Doyle or Bailey Wright could move into fullback. So it's quite flexible, and they've had to kind of adapt to the situation with not having any fullbacks in recent weeks. In terms of Pritchard, had a bit of a difficult start to the season. He joined and obviously looked like a great signing considering where he's been. He got COVID in the summer when he joined and missed kind of all of pre-season, and was really playing catch up at the start of the season, and we didn't really see the best of him. But in recent weeks, he's really kind of picked up his game and really looked like a cut above in League One, really looked like a standout player in this division. I think he's now got 3 goals and 2 assists in his last 5 games. So he's a player that can get into those pockets of space, take the ball on the half turn and really cause teams some problems. So yeah, we've really started to see the best of him. The same as well with Nathan Broadhead, a player who came in the summer on loan from Everton. He got a hamstring injury earlier in the season just as he was starting to hit a bit of form. And he's come back into the fold, linked up well with Ross Stewart up front, and he scored 4 goals in his last 4 games. So a couple of the new signings really coming good in the last few weeks, which Sunderland have needed.
And let's talk about Sunderland's away form. As you said, maybe Town should have got the result, or at least a point at the Stadium of Light. Does Sunderland change, adapt their play when they go away from home, or is it sort of still similar? Or what can we expect from a Sunderland side going to Portman Road?
I think it's quite similar. They'll always try and play in the same way, which is, as I mentioned before, is that philosophy of trying to play out the back when they can. Sometimes they can take that a little bit too far, and they've had some heavy defeats on the road. For example, there was one game at Portsmouth earlier in the season. Again, terrible conditions when it was really lashing it down with rain. The pitch was waterlogged as well, and Sunderland was still trying to pass the ball out from the back, which just didn't work, and lost 4-0 that day. So they've kind of had to adapt their style in some games. Their home form has been a lot better than their away form. They've only lost once at home in the league this season, which was a 1-0 defeat against Charlton, and they have had some heavy defeats away from home, that Portsmouth one and the 2 I mentioned before, Sheffield Wednesday and Rotherham, but they have had some good results away from home as well. They beat MK Dons away on the second game of the season, and as I said before, that big win at Cambridge, which has kind of given them a bit more momentum. But yeah, they have struggled a little bit more away from home, but I think that's maybe just because their home form has been so good, that maybe stands out a little bit more.
Definitely, and it's time to really get your prediction for the game. At the moment, very much up in the air with Town, with a new manager, and there's going to be a massive, big crowd. As I said, there's going to be 29,000 there possible. So there's going to be, the atmosphere is going to be interesting. Sunderland, of course, will bring a good away travelling as well. What do you reckon, and where's this going to go?
Yeah, it's a difficult one to call because, we were saying just before we came on that you think that Ipswich's season is going to be very difficult to get into the playoffs. But I was very impressed with Ipswich when they came at Portman, came and played at the Stadium of Light. You look at some of the players they've got in that squad. I thought Morsey in midfield kind of ran the game that day, and they've got a lot of really good squad on paper. So I think it's going to be another difficult game for Sunderland. But I think maybe they'll just edge it with, I'll go 2-1 if you're asking for a score prediction.
Yeah. Okay, then. Well, any other notes before we wrap up, Joe? It's been a pleasure having you on. It's one of those battle of the big dogs in League One. This is going to be a game everyone's going to be looking at just before Christmas as well. Any other notes?
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to the game. I think it's going to be, as you said, full kind of crowd at Portman Road. Sunderland always bring good support on the road, and it's going to be good before Christmas. 2 big clubs, 2 well-supported clubs, and it's going to be good to have a few games before Christmas as well, because Sunderland have actually got a Carabao Cup tie away at Arsenal next week. So, and as I said before, they've not really got a lot of options in terms of injuries. So maybe kind of similar players playing in both games. But good few games before Christmas, and then I think it's 3 games in about 6 days, isn't it? After kind of from Boxing Day, so a lot of football to hopefully look forward to.
Definitely. Well, Joe, thank you very much for joining me. Thanks everybody for watching. Let us know in the comments down below your thoughts on this game, your predictions and all that sort of stuff. And we're back for more videos soon. See you then. Bye-bye for now.